Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you're someone who loves to dig into the fascinating, diverse origins of the everyday things we just casually call American, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we aren't just blowing the dust off an old history book. Oh no, we're diving into the living, breathing legacy of global migration that literally surrounds us every single day.
So, I want to kick things off right away with a question for you. What makes American culture American? Seriously, take a second and think about it. Think about the true roots of the food you grab for breakfast, those unique, quirky regional words you use when you're hanging out with your friends, or the holidays you celebrate with your community all year round. As we're going to see, the real answers to this question, well, they rarely start within the borders of the U.S.
To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to talk about the concept of a cultural mosaic. Now, you hear the phrase melting pot thrown around a lot, right? But honestly, a much more accurate way to look at our society is as a cultural mosaic. It's this incredible mix of ethnic groups, languages, and cultures that all coexist within society, continually shaping its dynamic identity. In a mosaic, the individual pieces don't just melt away and vanish into some bland soup. Instead, they keep their unique colors, their distinct shapes, and they come together to build a much larger, way more beautiful, and constantly evolving picture. That right there? That's the whole thesis for our explainer today.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We are going to start with the American mosaic, move right into a nation of flavors, then we'll be mapping America's voices, and finally, we'll wrap up by celebrating shared heritage. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The American Mosaic, Building a Shared Identity.
Moving on to Section 2. A nation of flavors, surprising food origins.
Just take a look at this menu of beloved staples. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to imagine American food without these, right? But let's look a little closer at their origins. Take bagels and lox. That became a New York and eventually a total national breakfast institution, all thanks to Eastern European Jewish immigrants back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Or what about chow mein? That was brought over by Chinese immigrants who brilliantly, and I mean brilliantly, adapted their traditional stir-fried noodles to fit local ingredients and American tastes. Then you've got tacos, which actually have deep roots in indigenous Mexican cuisine that predates modern borders entirely, spreading really naturally as Mexican communities shared their foods. And pizza, originally from Naples, brought over by Italian immigrants and then adapted with larger portions and all sorts of new toppings to become the nationwide phenomenon we know today. The absolute key takeaway here is adaptation. These immigrants didn't just bring their food over, they adapted it to their new home and in the process created something entirely new.
Now, think about what is arguably the single most iconic American food of all time. I'm talking about grabbing a hot dog at a baseball game. But here's the crazy part. This ultimate American staple actually started out as the 19th century German Frankfurter. Yep, it was a seasoned sausage brought over by German immigrants that eventually got rebranded and became this massive symbol of American leisure. So next time you're at the ballpark, remember, you are quite literally eating history.
All right, Section 3. Mapping America's voices, accents, and dialects.
I want you to consider this quote from linguist Karen Adams over at Arizona State University. She says, "Everyone speaks a dialect and everyone has an accent." It's such a powerful insight because, let's be honest, we usually think only other people have accents, right? Not us. But the truth is, your voice is quite literally a historical fingerprint. It is a living record of exactly who settled in your region, who they interacted with, and even how isolated they were.
And you know what? These historical fingerprints are everywhere. Take New Orleans, for example. Down there, they have a dialect called Yat, named after the everyday greeting, "Where Yat?" Now, believe it or not, it sounds surprisingly like Brooklynese. And you might be wondering, why on earth is that? Well, it's because both New Orleans and New York City shared these massive influxes of working-class Irish and Italian immigrants back in the 19th century. Similar immigrant groups literally created surprisingly similar dialects miles and miles apart. It's wild. We also see this with the Appalachian dialect, which was deeply influenced by the Scots-Irish and preserved because of the geographic isolation of the mountains. And over on the West Coast, the Californian dialect is this huge, fascinating blend of early Spanish influence, the Gold Rush, and later on, Dust Bowl migrants coming out from the South.
And hey, speaking of California, languages aren't just history, they're actively evolving right now as we speak. There's this linguistic phenomenon happening called the California vowel shift. Basically what's going on is that vowels are physically moving forward in the speaker's mouth. So a word like kit starts sounding more like ket, and dress becomes drass. You probably recognize this as the classic Valley Girl accent. But here's the thing, it's actually spreading all across the country because it's perceived as an urban, cool way of speaking. The American mosaic is actively shifting the way your mouth forms words. How cool is that?
Section 4. Celebrating Shared Heritage, a Calendar of Cultures.
Now walk with me through this calendar year for a second. Our entire year is punctuated by these beautifully diverse adopted cultural milestones. In the winter, we ring in the Lunar New Year alongside Asian communities. Come March, we're donning green and celebrating Irish heritage for St. Patrick's Day, which, by the way, features the largest parade in the entire world right in New York City. Then May brings us Cinco de Mayo, September ushers in German traditions with Oktoberfest, and December rounds out the whole year with Kwanzaa. I mean, these aren't just days off from work, they're actual moments where our entire society is invited to jump in and participate in the heritage of one specific piece of our cultural mosaic.
Let's zoom in on one of these vital celebrations for a minute. Kwanzaa is actually uniquely American. It was created back in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga, and it was designed to intentionally honor African history and Black heritage. It's built on 7 core principles, things like unity, purpose, and creativity. Over 7 days, families light these colored candles, black for the people, red for their struggle, and green for their hopes and dreams for the future. It is just such a beautiful example of a community building a completely new tradition to strengthen and celebrate their specific place within the American mosaic.
And this brilliantly illustrates how traditions actually evolve once they enter that mosaic. Just look at Cinco de Mayo. Its historical origin is the 1862 Mexican victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla. But its modern evolution here in the United States, it's something entirely different. It is transformed from a very specific military commemoration into this massive, unifying celebration of friendship, Mexican heritage, and culture in the U.S. It perfectly shows how we adapt holidays to really foster community and inclusion. All of which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought. As our cultural mosaic continues to grow and blend and shift, what future traditions, what new favorite foods, and what brand new dialects are going to emerge tomorrow? Seriously, look around your own community. The history of American culture isn't just something stuck in the past. It's being written right now, in your kitchen, in your daily conversations, and right in your own neighborhoods. So keep your eyes and your ears wide open to it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.